I was having this discussion with a friend the other day, and out came out of my mouth. Sometimes I never know what my mouth is going to say. And out came out of my mouth of when there's been a revival in the past and the word, the gospel is getting spread. In America, we have our little revivals, and persecution is, persecution happens every time there's a revival. There's some kind of persecution. In America, there's some pushback of some sort. Either there'll be some laws that will come across that that just make it hard for believers, or or some big name will get prosecuted for some nefarious acts, or some scandal will happen, or something like that. In other countries, when there's a big revival type thing, people are unalived, right? Well, and I'm thinking through history, when there's been like big revivals or great awakenings in the past, it seems like there's always been wars, which there are always wars, right? But I got to wondering, after I had, given this information or this thought, just kind of thinking out loud to my friend. And I'm like, is that a thing? She's like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. And I'm like, I'm just speculating, right? Hi, I'm Donita from prairie-trail.com. If you are sensitive to various noises and stuff, I have I turned off the fans. I turned off the external hard. No, I didn't. Sorry. I still have the external hard drive on. I think I can turn that off. Okay, I turn off the external hard drive. I try to shut down all of these external noises and stuff, so that you guys, so that it'll be okay for you guys. It help not have all the additional noises. But I live on a farm. I am a fifth generation Oklahoma homesteader, and we have animals, and notoriously they want to come and make a lot of noise right outside my window. And we have a lot of activity in our home. This is a business as well. So yeah, there's a lot of noise. And I don't have a snack with me right now, but I am often I'm drinking, I'm eating, I'm trying to keep myself hydrated and well fed. So if noises, and I've got my tinfoil hat, which I'm not wearing all of the time, but if noises like that bother you, you might want to move on. You don't need to tell me. I mean, that's like glitching in the video and with the audio and stuff. There's almost only so much I can do about this kind of stuff. So that doesn't need to be in the comments. And if you don't like how high my forehead is, or how big my nose is, or any of that kind of stuff, you don't need to leave those in the comments. You can move on. Go find something more entertaining for you. But if you want to dig in to something wacky, unusual, weird, and just strange things in the past, then you might be in the right place. Okay. So there might be noises and stuff, and my lighting is kind of odd because we've got contrails, really thick ice crystals outside, and my natural lighting isn't really great here lately. Plus the trumpet vines. The trumpet vines have been finding the littlest, bittiest little openings that they can get through, and they have been actually even coming in the house in some places. We live in a 100-year-old house, over 100 years old. And so, yeah, the outside is coming in, and lighting isn't the best, and this is the way it is. So anyway, and if you're interested, I have, and yes, I'm going to self-promote because, we pay for electricity when the generator isn't running. When the generator is running, we pay for diesel. So, I'm trying to keep the electricity off on and pay for the internet. So, the Prairie Dust Trail magazine is a biblically based, sustainable living, homeschooling, homesteading, homemaking, herbalism, gardening, all of that kind of stuff, home and garden type magazine. Lots and lots of content. It's only $5 for each one, or $20 a year. It's a quarterly digital magazine. And yeah, if you're interested in that, pop over to prairie-trail.com. And there's also a free newsletter if you'd rather do that. I also have a community. I have many free things if you just want to just go over to the website, and I've got tons of stuff in there. If you're interested in learning about homeschooling, I've got everything in there from preschool to high school. And I'm fixing to take that stuff off. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, it is fixing to come off of the website. I'm going to be creating a curriculum and writing a book instead, and because people don't read blogs anymore. And so I send people to the blog, they don't look, they don't pay attention, they're not interested. So I might as well put it into a book or something so that people who are interested, can get the information that way. So anyway, all right. Now, what are we doing today? Well, I tell you what, I had a couple of different things. I may actually record more than one video today. I really might. So I called this Hidden Links Between Revival Movements and Historical Conflicts. And I have a few Bible verses. I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. Revelation 19:11. We think about this whenever we think about the four horses of the apocalypse, we think about them as, harbingers of terribleness, right? But this actually says that the person that is sitting on the horse is called faithful and true. So this is a good angel, so to speak, okay? And he's making war against what? You know what I'm saying? It's not always war against good people. Sometimes it's the kingdom warring against evil. And we need to be prepared for battle. We just really do. Um, what is that one hymn? Like Salvation Army hymn, the trumpet of the Lord shall sound and time shall be no more. Is that the one I'm thinking? Or the army of the Lord? You know what? Um, there's just we need to be ready for battle. And I've never seen the movie War Room. I've heard things back and forth about it. I've never seen it, but we do need to be in the battle, whether it's through prayer, whether it's giving discipleship, mentorship, just sharing Bible verses with people. We need praying is huge, of course. And we really need to be in the battle. Okay. Now, and then and this one is from Revelation as well, Revelation 14:6-11. And I saw another angel in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and sea and the fountains of waters. And then we have in Matthew 10:28, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. So this, I always want to start out with scripture. And I think it's super important. And part of what brought up this conversation is yeah, where am I going? Ah, it's been a mess. Shelley from There's No Place Like Home has been, digging into full preterism. And she is coming up with some really interesting ideas. And majority of what is being shared about full preterism, I don't disagree with, as far as the spiritual symbolism in prophecy. Okay. I believe prophecy has threefold meaning, at least. I mean, God is many dimensional. He's multi-dimensional. He's beyond dimensional, right? So we're only basically in a three-dimensional space for the most part. And we kind of maybe touch with the fourth dimension a little bit through prayer and things that we sense sometimes, that weird feeling you get sometimes and things like that. But, there's probably a lot more than that. And historically speaking, whenever you go through the, having trouble with words today. Sorry, guys, I'm tired. Uh, you go through prophecies throughout the Old Testament, uh, and they have more than one meaning. Okay. Like Joseph, I think she brought this one up recently in one of her videos. And this isn't just to disagree with Shelley. I love Shelley to pieces. We visit on a regular basis, and I love the study that she's doing. It's just another perspective on some of the things that she's studying and saying. So she was talking about Joseph's dreams before he went into Egypt, and he had a dream about about some sheaves of wheat bowing down to him, and the stars and the moon and the sun bowing down to him. And his brothers and his dad had issues with it. Like, what do you think that, me and your mother and your brothers are all going to be bowing down to you, or what? And then later, when Joseph was in Egypt and he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, and he told Pharaoh, what you need to do is use these good times of good to put aside to prepare for the times of the famine that is coming. And he did. And Egypt was it helped, a lot of people. Everybody was going to Egypt to get grain because nobody could grow grain, there for 7 years. And I do think that personally, I think it was a worldwide famine. We see evidence of Egypt all over the world today. I think it was worldwide. I don't think it was just in that little area. I think it was worldwide. And I've got other videos about this if you're new. But, Egypt helped feed the world through this situation by, storing up grain. And when Joseph's family came upon these hard times, his dad sent his brothers to Joseph, not knowing that it was Joseph because his dad thought he was dead, and they bowed down to him. When they got there, they didn't know who he was, but they bowed down to him because he was the second highest in the empire, right? And he helped make sure that his family was taken care of, and they ended up moving to Egypt because of that. So it had a spiritual connotation to that prophecy, to that dream, but it also had a physical thing that actually did happen. And through the ages, if you look at prophecy throughout the Old and New Testament, there's something special about Joseph, the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, his two sons. Joseph didn't necessarily get a tribe of the 12 tribes of Israel. Um, his sons got tribes. You know, Levi didn't get a tribe because they were the priesthood. So Joseph's sons, Joseph got a double portion and he wasn't the oldest. You know, that's special. That is saying something special. So that prophecy, that dream prophecy had several meanings that have gone on and still haven't been completely fulfilled today because Ephraim and Manasseh are still scattered all over the world. And so anyway, I, you know, I just think that I feel like the full preterists are, and with no disrespect at all. I feel like the full preterists, if they really believe that the world is becoming a better place and that all we have to do is go and share the gospel more, and the more we share the gospel, the better the world is going to be. And eventually we will have that new heavens and new earth in a spiritual sense, right? Well, I believe spiritually we already have a new heavens and new earth because, you know, we have the temple within us. We are the temple of God. Everybody can be a part of the church now, which everybody could have been then. Anybody could have joined and worship the one true God at any point in time. But now, since Jesus came and gave his life and rose again from the dead, it is easier for just anybody to join him and ask him into their heart and become the temple, right? A part of the kingdom of God. So, you know, I just think it is kind of, you know, very idealistic of them to believe that. And so I thought I'd come up with some historically, what does it say? Historically, yeah, I don't think we can say things are getting better. I know some people like to say things aren't getting worse. People have always had things bad. I've, I don't know that I've ever seen a time or ever even heard of a time in history where everyone pretty much agreed. I mean, at this point, there aren't very many people who don't, and they've got their heads in the sand, as far as I'm concerned. Nearly everybody agrees it seems like we're in the end times. No matter what you believe as far as eschatology is concerned, everybody, our elders, the people that are 70, 80, 90 years old, can tell that the world is crazy compared to anything they have ever seen, from the weather, the way people are acting, politics, the whole kit and caboodle. So believing that the more we share the gospel, the better it's going to get is just so naive to me. Because, I mean, if you talk to people in other countries, a majority, they had tons of churches in those countries, but so many of those churches have been turned into something else. And that started happening here in the US the last 20 years as well. I know in our town, one of the churches was turned into a thrift store for a while. Two of the churches have been turned into homes. Uh, they're just, they're dying. You know, as far as the building 501c3 thing, they're dying. That wasn't the way God ever really meant for church to be in the first place. It's not biblical. That's not the biblical church. But, you know, people, there are more and more people that consider themselves agnostic. I don't believe in atheists. I just don't. Nobody's an atheist once they hit their deathbed. So it just, I don't believe in atheists. So I can understand somebody being agnostic and not believing that God really has anything to do with us anymore or something. Um, Unfortunately, that's usually the church's fault. That people get that attitude, but there are more and more people that are growing up without any church influence at all in their lives, very, very little, if any. And even in the United States, which was supposed to be a Christian nation, most of us here know better now, right? As far as our founding fathers, um, most of them were Unitarian or and or Masons. So, and I do have historical data on that. If you need that, I mean, just read the letters of John and Abigail Adams to one another. It's 99 cents on Amazon. I think it might be free on Gutenberg.org. So you can read those letters. They're compiled, and you can tell there was definitely a Christian overtone in the way people lived their lives then compared to now, but they weren't necessarily, only God can make that judgment for sure. But yeah, anyway, there are more people now that do not know who Jesus is in America, who have no clue what he was supposedly all about now than ever. And so believing that things are getting better is just naive as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, Christian revivals, we have Wikipedia, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But we have here first Great Awakening, second Great Awakening, third Great Awakening. I figured I would just kind of start with them to begin with. And they actually list 4 Great Awakenings in America. We're talking America on this one. But I know this Great Awakening was also in Britain. So it's not necessarily just American. And there are other, I mean, here's one in Korea. Um, there's several here, and I'll make sure that these links are here. Australia. Okay, and it gives some dates. All right, and they're kind of run hand in hand. My father-in-law used to believe whenever God uh gave some knowledge, shine some light on something, or can't remember exactly how he put it, but when God revealed something to his people throughout history, he has done it where he would reveal basically the same thing, the same concept to people in different parts of the world. Okay. And I think we can definitely see that. If we looked at this time period of Great Awakening, I think we could look at different countries at the same time coming up with very similar stuff. The powers that be don't want you to make those connections. And the fact that the internet is doing that for us today has been problematic for the powers that be. Anyway, so you have this Great Awakening is about from 1730 to 1755. So I'm like, okay, what's happening around this time? Well, Austria has this from 1740 to 1748. They have this war going on, which is interesting. We have, the whole Russia occupied Austria, and this was actually a pretty big thing. Okay. And so we've got that in this time period. We have the 7 Years' War here, and it was considered a worldwide conflict, the 7 Years' War. So we're talking Great Britain, Prussia, France, Spain, Saxony, Sweden, Russia. I mean, it was a pretty big deal, right? So you've got that right after that time period. And then you have the Second Great Awakening. And of course, we had, we also, come on, quit fighting with me. We also had in this time period, then we had the 1776, the shot that was heard around the world. I mean, was there really something that happened that was heard around the world and they're trying to play it off as a political thing that just kind of made ripples? Or was there something actually that happened at this time period? Of course, I'm questioning these dates as well, right? And could it be that a lot of these things all happened really pretty much at the same time? I don't know. I'm speculating, right? So then we have the Second Great Awakening, and this is saying 1790 to 1840. So, and then I brought up a list from the early 1800s. Well, this has got all of the 1800s, the whole 19th century. It starts in, I don't know why it throws this in, I guess because it lasted 100 years. So the Timmy War, okay, this war, we are actually a part of that one. The United States, the War of the Oranges. I mean, there's all of these wars going on during this time. And I mean, pretty much the war has been constant conflict from, for like ever. I know there was the war of like 1812. I don't even see that. That might have just been kind of a American Indian War. But you've got all the stuff going on. I mean, I know in here you had the Napoleonic Wars. I need to look that up. Yeah, 1812. War of 1812. I don't know why that one's not listed. Interesting. So you've got this one in there too. I mean, yeah, there's a lot. And I'm just sitting here wondering, and here's the third from 1855 to 1930. So we have the early 1900s. We have World War I and World War II, of course, but here's these wars that are even before World War I going on. Is some of this backlash to the gospel being shared in these places? Just curious, just curious. You know what I'm saying? And then here we have a Chinese Civil War, a Greek Civil War, a Colombian Civil War, I mean, Vietnam War. I mean, we have all of this stuff going on. Fourth Great Awakening is from 1960 to 1980. So this is a Christian awakening, right? And kind of the Jesus movement, and let's see, spread to some Roman Catholic Church. Interesting. Martin Luther King Jr., Billy Graham, Pope John Paul II. A lot going on here, okay? So, and then we have, oh, you guys are in the wrong spot. That's from 1500, but then, we go from the 70s. I mean, there's so much here. 50s. Oh my goodness, there's so much. So here we have the Congo crisis, Guatemala, China, Burma. Ethiopia, Bay of Pigs, Nicaragua Revolution, Kurdish War, Rebellion of Pirates. We have India, the Netherlands, Mali, Venezuela, Indonesia, China, communist insurgency. Ah, I mean, there's so much here, right? And of course, we know there was Korea and Vietnam, right? Just so much. So, I mean, I can't directly say that there was an influence here. I really can't for sure say that there's a direct influence, but could there be? You know what I'm saying? I just, like I said, I feel like it's very naive to think that the world is becoming a better place and that all we have to do to see the new heavens and the new earth um it is to just keep sharing the gospel and everything's going to get better. You know, and whenever we're talking about um Revelation 20 and the short season, which many of us believe, you know, that we're in after the 1,000 years, you know, and he cast him into the bottomless pit and sealed him up, shut him up, and put a seal upon him that he should not deceive the 8 nations until the 1,000 years are fulfilled, and he must be loosed for a little season. And then, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed from his prison and shall go out and deceive the nations on the four quarters of the earth, and gather them together for battle, the number of whom is the sand of the sea. So there's evidence around the world that there has been worldwide devastation after the flood. I mean, there's definitely um evidence of the flood. Oh, have you guys seen this? Ah, let me see if I can pull it up. Google Maps. Have you guys seen this right here? And it, my oldest, Catherine, said that there is a actual name for this area, and you can't see it there. Let me see if I can pull it up on Google Maps. Ah, it's not going to name it. Oh, Sandwich Islands. But this strait is actually called, let's see, let's Google. Yeah, in the area between um Antarctica and Argentina, called the Drake Passage. So they're not showing that here, but does that not look like the head of a snake right there? Does that not look like the head of a snake? So, I mean, if that is what it looks like, and there's a lot of things on Google Earth that very much look like this kind of stuff. There are so many. I mean, we are sitting on a world that is just devastation and dead things and melted buildings, right? This right here is pre-flood. Okay. There's not two ways about it. That's from the flood. Okay. Um, so many things that we see that you kind of pull in, and just about anywhere you can pull into something and start seeing. And there's a lot of people that are a lot better at this than I am, but you can find what looks like bodies of animals and very, very large humanoid creatures all over the world. I wonder if I can do let's see, images. I mean, this is a bunch of baloney. I mean, this looks like maybe a big finger or something. It might actually be a log. Oh, there we go. Here we've got what looks like a face. If it was just a few that looked like that, that would be one thing. But then we have stuff like this. If that does not look like an elephant to you, I don't know why you're here. Um, I mean, there's more than one. There are more than one. You know, it just they see that's a different one there. I mean, there's a lot and they're huge, huge. So, and I know just here we go, are several different ones. I know south of us down at Granite, Oklahoma, down by Lake Altus, there is Indian rock at a certain time of the day when the sun's going down. It looks like sleeping Indian rock. It looks like, and we have a lot of those out here. So, I mean, it just, there we go. I mean, I just, there's some things that are just coincidence once or twice, but these are all over the place, guys, right? And I know this isn't necessarily what I was talking about, but we know what is pre-flood. That kind of stuff's pre-flood. The Great Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, uh, is I think that one is pre-flood. There's just so much about if you can really get in close. Um, there is so much about this that I think there's more of it missing than what we actually see. And I have no doubt that's probably pre-flood. Okay. And if you've seen our Tin Hat Talks video on the giants, the Nephilim, and the Raphaim, at the very end of that video, I give my thoughts on how we ended up with the Raphaim after the flood, and it has to do with this. So if you want to go watch that one, if you haven't seen it, but that's pre-flood. But then you pull up some of what John Levi is bringing up, and some of them, ah, no, he, oh goodness, of course it's this guy. Hopefully this is the right, yeah, this is the right one. Some of the stuff that he is bringing up and showing, and some of the boots on the ground stuff that he shows in some of his videos that other people are showing are things that have very likely happened recently. Um, Kronos, I think isn't that his? This is it. No, that's not it. That's not it. I spelled it wrong. My subscriptions. Oh, I guess it was just K. Huh, I don't know where it went. I don't think that's it either. I lost him. I can't remember what I'm spelling it wrong. I know I'm spelling it wrong. Let's see. Now it's gonna bug me. Let's see, so you guys get to see all the ones that oh, that took me to home. Oh, come on, show me my subscriptions. There we go. Oh, good grief. Mystery history is interesting. He shows some interesting things. I don't necessarily agree with him on, but you guys know I don't necessarily agree with myself on everything either. Of course, these kids have got some very interesting stuff. The Art of Dino. Where did we go? This is going to drive me nuts. I do like Jimmy Vision, some of his stuff. Just saying. Uh, Bible projects, really good. If you have trouble kind of getting into the Bible, especially their older stuff, is really good in helping you understand the Bible. Da, 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 da. Where is he? Oh, Martin. Oh, goodness. He's got some good stuff, but you just about need to mute him because his mouth, and I think he's high all the time. Maybe I don't have him in this one. I may not. Anyway, well, I guess that wasn't much help. Anyway, there's some good ones that show, let's see. Let's see what I can come up with here. I mean, this is one that we definitely know. Oh, good grief. Here we've got some. I don't think that's Sodom and Gomorrah. I think that's something else, but yeah, it's definitely something else, but it might be in the area. This is here we've got Sodom and Gomorrah, ancient origins of good grief. Anyway, and just a lot of places where it looks like there are, like buildings built. Oh, that's a good one. Here's a, oh, it's not going to be very big. That's that's a little bit bigger. You can tell with this, and we see a lot of things like this in the United States, but we get a different story than they do in different places. So, I mean, you can see like pillars or towers or something on this, right? I think this is part of Sodom and Gomorrah. But we see stuff like this. I mean, if you weren't really given a lot of information, some of the stuff in, oh, Arizona. Let's see. We get images. I mean, of course, this one kind of looks like a dead tree, a giant tree. Um, but some of them definitely look like they could have been buildings too. I mean, we've been told that these lines are like strata and, different periods of time and stuff like that. But people are starting to find in some of this stuff um, pieces of bricks, red bricks that didn't get all the way melted like the rest of it around it. And it's just amazing to see some of that. Now, these could be, ancient trees. Um, I mean, they're just all over the place. They're absolutely all over the place. Now, you can tell that this was a building, and they'll have some story with that. But if it's not, oh, I hate pulling up those stories. They start having those pop-ups and stuff. But there are places like this that we can find all over the place that it's just not quite as easy to see, and they'll say, oh, it's just natural, right? I mean, so how much this had to have been after the flood, as far as I'm concerned, right? Um, some of this, now the trees, the giant trees, probably before the flood. Okay, that's a flood tree, pre-flood tree. But then some of the other things could have been, a castle or a city or something because, castle in Arizona. Let's see what we find whenever we're looking here. Ah, here's a good example of what I'm kind of talking about. Okay, so was all of this? Because if you look closely on some of these types of things, you'll see what looks like was patterns in here of the whole thing being a complex of buildings and not just one little outcropping that they built into the rock, or that they carved out of the rock. Where on earth did that? So if we do some, oops. And I'm just picking on Arizona today. Okay. So Arizona State Hospital. Okay, so we get all of these old buildings and stuff, and then you look at some of these like mesas and things, and you're like, what was actually there? And that looks like somebody maybe built that fairly recently. And then how much is some of these things actually we've added on to something that somebody else did that looks newer? You know, I mean, how much of this was already there and how much did somebody build? I don't know, and I'm just speculating here. I'm just speculating when you have something like the this right here, you know, a bunch of, oh, boy, howdy, they really, yeah, they're really changing things, aren't they? Um, and then you have cathedrals. and this amazing stuff, right? Going on. And some of it looks like it's been burnt. I mean, just the coloring on the buildings and stuff. And then what would this look like if it was melted? You know what I'm saying? What would this look like if it was melted? So, oh my goodness. It's just hard to believe that some of this even exists. Okay. And then let's see. Let's see. This right here blows my wad. And there's something very similar to this in South America. This is huge. There is a waterfall there. Let me mix it out of a few things. Okay, there's a waterfall here. These are buildings up here. Okay, you just can't, is it a person? I don't know if it is or not. You just can't understand the scope of this. I just can't. I've never really had a desire to go visit Spain, but this just, if I did, I would want to see this. I mean, look at, how huge this is. And it's built supposedly into this, right? And look at some of this stuff. And I bet you there's caves in here. I bet you there's caves in here. And I bet that this is melted and that there was a lot more to this to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So, which wars did it? How much is pre-flood? How much is post-flood? I mean, do you think this bridge is pre-flood? I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then we talk about the stuff in India still that just absolutely amazes me. If you guys aren't amazed by this, I just have to show it again. If you don't like snakes, I'm sorry. Um, I mean, you know, oh, isn't that sweet? They put stars out there. Anyway, I mean, but how much was pre-flood and how much was post-flood? And who? Let's see, Bridge of Ronda, Spain. Let's look. Ronda, Spain. I mean, these buildings that they're showing here in this are not tiny buildings. Oh, you can't see, but I mean that's not a small building to begin with, you know? This isn't a small town. Oops, that's not let's see what it actually says. I mean that bridge is definitely a big part of it. Oh, Arabic baths. I mean, seriously, dudes. I mean, this place is amazing. You know what I'm saying? There is so much here, and they're going to, um, let's look from the sky. I want to see this. Okay, so I want to see the I mean, it's not like it's like right next to the ocean or anything, you know? And you've got that huge bridge. Just, I bet there's a cathedral or something in this town somewhere. Oh, what is that? Oh, something. That little guy there, and we've already got something completely. Where did that come from? What is that? What on earth? But look, we've got this brick walkway and this round building that they've put a facade on, but it's red brick going around. What is that? Oh, well, David, it's still a little fuzzy. Seriously, what was that about? Just somebody wanting their privacy right there? I don't know. Anyway, I mean, got this whole round building. Huh. I wonder what some of the older images of this place are. Now, how do I? Let's see. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, now my alarms are going off. Ah, oh my goodness. So, I mean, look at some of this. Wow. Well, I'm getting totally sidetracked, and I obviously have something else that I need to be doing. But wow. I may have to look a little deeper on some of this. If you guys do any looking around on here and you find some neat stuff, uh, tag me on Instagram or something. This is just this thing, this interests me. Anyway, I mean, the idea that, yeah, yeah. Let me know what you guys think of, do you think things are getting better? Do you think we're in the short season? Or do you think we're past that and Satan and all of the demons are all gone? I'm having issues with it. I'm having issues with it. And I completely respect Shelley and the research that she's doing. And I look forward to seeing more of what she's going into. But yeah, the full preterism thing, I'm not there. I'm not there, and I don't see myself going there. And Paul and I've had many discussions about it, and we are in a time of great deception, and we are standing on an earth that is full of devastation. Everything that we've always thought was a beautiful scenery, now every time I look, it's evidence of devastation of some sort from some time period. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at this point. And I've got some other things I'm going to be looking to. I don't know when I'm going to put this video up, but there might be another one there might be a couple of videos this week because there's a lot going on. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe and share and all that good stuff, and leave a comment below because all of that does help. It definitely does. So I love y'all, and we will see you later. And remember, you can make it through the dust storms of life with God's divine help.